What's going on, everybody? Happy Thursday, January 4th, 2024. DK Show up on the air on your radio dials, 105.1 FM, 790 AM. Also available online, sportstalk1051.com. Google and Alexa home devices, video stream up and rolling, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. Appreciate you making us part of your start on this Thursday morning. What do we got on the good old game plan for us this morning? Bucks continue to struggle against the Indiana Pacers. They lost again last night to the Pacers, 142 to 130. Bucks just 1-4 against the Pacers this year. So, but hey, quick turnaround for the Bucks as they take on the San Antonio Spurs tonight at 6:30. Timberwolves, meanwhile, last night, they also lost to the New Orleans Pelicans, 117 to 106. So we'll talk a little Bucks hoops and hoops in general, with the Bucks falling again to the Pacers. High score. We knew, these are two of the highest scoring teams in the association in the NBA, but Bucks either can't slow them down or have struggled to slow them down a little bit, or just can't outscore them at this point in time. So we'll see. Maybe, I don't know. Got a long ways yet to go until playoffs and all that sort of stuff. But if the Pacers can sneak into the postseason, I shouldn't say sneak in, because right now they're the fifth seed going on there. But maybe that's the team Milwaukee doesn't want to play when they get to the postseason. Are they the new Miami Heat? Talking about the Pacers there. But you look at these games, they've been high scoring affairs. Go back to November. Pacers 126, Bucks 124. Game 2, Pacers 128, Bucks 119, 140, 126, 122, 113. Last night 142, 130. Tyrese Halliburton continues just to have a fantastic season, but it was that 47-point quarter last night for the Pacers that really propelled them to victory last night. So, elsewhere too, hoops, WIAC action began in college basketball. So, both Stout and the Blue Golds were in action. For the Blue Golds, the men fell to Platteville 74-69 in a hard-fought battle. Platteville, a top 25 team. Women defeated Platteville 70-45. Stout, women's team, take care of business against Stevens Point 82-53, and the men fell 89-75. Elsewhere, what else do we got on the docket? We're going to talk some more football here. Packers returned to practice yesterday as they get set for their matchup against the Bears on Sunday. And it was a long injury report for the Packers. 21, I believe. So it was 21 players on that report. However, maybe some good news in there, because we know Green Bay tends to, best way maybe to say is to over-report, covering all bases. They'll put everybody on there. I mean, if they got a little bit of an egg now, maybe they put them on there. But Jair was back, and he was listed as a full participant, so not the limited participant with his shoulder that we have seen for a while now. He was full. Devondre Campbell also back, listed as a full participant in practice, which is big because of Isaiah McDuffie, who did not practice. Still concussion, neck injury. So elsewhere too, Dontavian Wicks did practice in a limited fashion. Christian Watson did practice in a limited fashion. And if you listen to him, he was talking a little bit with the media yesterday. Sounds like, I mean, these are just the players, so take it for what it's worth. Sounds like he's going to play on Sunday. Jordan Love made it sound like Christian Watson was going to play. Jaden Reed also practiced in a limited fashion, which is big too, because remember, he went out at half of that game on Sunday. So even though it's big, it's a big list. Packers maybe getting some guys back. and maybe some guys that we kind of thought that may miss this game, potentially it could be playing in this one, looking at like Wicks and Reed and that sort of stuff. But speaking of Jair Alexander, he chatted a little bit with the media. We'll hear from him. We'll play what he had to say, but kind of some of the notes out there. He does want to be in Green Bay for the long term. Wants to be there for the future. Doesn't hold any ill will towards Goody or LaFleur. Said big thing is, and we'll hear it from himself. But he said the biggest thing that he's got to be better at is communication. Communication with, I'm assuming he means his coaches and maybe the front office. Because he made a point. He's like, I can talk to my guys, I can talk to my teammates, but I got to get better at communicating with everywhere else. So I'm assuming he means coaching and that sort of stuff. But we'll hear from Jair and what he had to say yesterday after returning from the suspension list. He did say he was surprised. He expected to be fined, but was surprised. And I'll just say this: he does sound pretty humble. He did sound pretty humble yesterday talking to the media, and he did even note too that maybe his future chats with the media or his future pressers with the media might be a little bit more professional. So, but definitely going to be talking a little bit more about this game at hand on Sunday. And looking at this game, we've been talking about Justin Fields, and a lot of people have been talking about Justin Fields, and obviously I think a lot of people are looking at this game and like Joe Barry and the defense come up with a scheme to slow down Justin Fields, and mostly probably for his ability to extend the play and scramble and rush and all that sort of stuff. But is it the defense, the Bears defense, that we should be focused on? Because you look at some of the numbers lately that this Bears defense has been doing and how they've ranked, it's pretty impressive. It's pretty impressive. Just to give you some numbers here quick, because we're going to break it down here coming up in just a little bit. But Chicago is number 1 in the NFL in run defense, just allowing 84 yards per game on the ground. Number 4 with 3.72 yards allowed per carry. Chicago is number 1 with an opponent passer rating of 61.5. Also, in the last 5 games, the Bears haven't allowed more than 20 points. And over those 5 games, Chicago's defense is number 1 in points allowed, 15.2, opponent passer rating, 60.3, interceptions, 13, takeaways, and fourth down. Number 6 in completion percentage allowed, number 7 in total defense. I mean, it's top, number 8 in sacks. So good numbers, right, in the last few games. But on the flip side, play a little devil's advocate here. Is it related to the teams they've gone up against that are maybe skewing some of the numbers? In case you don't know, the last few games, they just defeated the Atlanta Falcons 37-17. Arizona 27-16. They fell to the Red Hot Browns, but it was just 20-17. Defeated the Lions 28-13. Defeated the Vikings 12-10. And then fell to the Lions over there 231-26. When you look at some of the stuff that's popped up, I'm going to bring this up here in just a little bit, but there's maybe a common, and I know tomorrow on Friday we'll kind of do keys to victory, key matchups, and all that sort of stuff. There's one thing that really stands out to me in these last few games that, to me, would be the ultimate deciding factor in this game. But let's talk a little bit about this Bears defense. It's talking so much about Justin Fields and going up against the Packers defense and Joe Barry. I think that's kind of where maybe a lot of Packers fans are concerned, including myself. I'll admit it. But is it the Bears' defense that we should be more focused on? Or is it perhaps a little skewed, if that's fair to say, considering the opponents they played on or they played against? If you do care about it, the Pro Bowl was announced yesterday. No players for the Packers elected to the Pro Bowl. 5 alternates were named, but the Packers, one of just a couple of teams to not have a Pro Bowler on there. Rashawn Gary is a first-team alternate. Got Jair listed on there as well and such. But in a year that, and we know it's not quite over with yet, and voting, I guess, was done by Christmas. But if you could, if this was like Major League Baseball and each team's got a representative and such, who is the most deserving Packer to be in the Pro Bowl? Now, I'll be honest, I don't care about the Pro Bowl. However, I will say now that I've got a young son who's at the age and who is now just diehard football freak because that's kind of his life right now. Everything football related. He's going to want to watch the Pro Bowl activities and such. But and I was the same when I was a kid. I mean, I feel like it's more of a game for the kids and for the youth and the younger fans out there. But nonetheless, if you could think of, or if you had to pick one deserving Packer player from this year, who do you think is the most deserving? And I guess you could probably kind of term it as maybe the most outstanding Packer this year, the Packer MVP. I know TJ Watt for the Steelers was just selected team MVP for the 4th straight year. Some teams do that stuff. But if you had to elect a Packers MVP, perhaps, or maybe the representative to the Pro Bowl, who would that player be? Would it be Rashawn Gary, who is the first alternate? Would it be Jordan Love? Somebody else? Zach Tom, who, you look at some of his numbers, he probably should have gotten some consideration for the Pro Bowl. Again, offensive lineman getting underrated or overlooked. We've been down that road before. So it is a Thursday, so we'll catch up with Jake Bolks, our DNR warden buddy. We will ask him your questions. So if you have any questions for Jake, hit us up with a text now at 715-830-1912 on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line. If you have any questions for Jake, we'll chat with him in about a couple hours, about 8:30 this morning. Also, it is Receiver Defer Thursday, so riding solo here a little bit. If you have any good questions for some Receiver Defer, hit me up. All right, text those puppies on over too. Text those on over. I'd love a little help here with some receiver deferred questions because it's kind of weird when I ask them myself. So you can start to text those puppies on over if you like. But let's get things rolling here this morning. Coming up on the leadoff, let's talk a little Packers Bears as we get sets for this matchup just a few days away now. Packers returned to practice yesterday. We'll hear from Jair Alexander what he had to say from his suspension, but also want to talk a little bit about this Bears defense. Should that, if you had to pick, which one would you be more worried about? Is it Justin Fields going up against Joe Barry to defense, or this Bears defense that's statistically playing better in the last few weeks? Or review the mindset, look at who they've played. We'll break it all down, all right? First, we'll take that first break, and we'll get things rolling on this Thursday morning. After these quick words. One of the many great things about Wisconsin is that we've got our grills ready to go 24/7. 365, well, sometimes 366 days of the year. And we're always looking to fire up some brats and steaks. I mean, now if it's too cold, they got those indoor brat grills too, which means any day is a perfect day to make a visit to Mike's Star Market in Eau Claire. Steaks and burgers, brats, snack sticks, and jerky that have so many different flavor options, you'll never run out of a different one to try. Now they got freeze-dried candy over there too. So, hungry for the best cuts and best flavor in town? Give a visit to Mike's Star Market in Eau Claire on the west side of Eau Claire. Getting things going here this morning on the leadoff, chatting some more Packers, Bears winning in. We all know the situation here. And a lot of the chat out there has been Justin Fields, his Packers defense going up against Justin Fields, and can Joe Barry put together a game plan to, maybe limit Justin Fields and not allow him maybe to run and scramble all over the defense. But is it the Bears defense that we should maybe be a little bit more focused on? Should it be the Bears defense over here? I think we would all agree that this is going to both these teams are different than when we first saw them in week 1. Bears are better, playing better. Green Bay, offensively, maybe a little bit more consistent. Defensively, kind of, I think, the best way to describe it is maybe kind of a shoulder shrug here. I don't know. But when you look at what the Bears defense has done in the last month or so, numbers-wise, they've been one of the best in the league. Remember at trade deadline, they got, Marquez Sweats, another pass rusher on the edge over there too. But since week 11, I'm going to throw out some numbers here in terms of Packers offense and compare it to the Bears defense here. So Aaron Jones the last couple of weeks, him being on the field, over 100 yards rushing. We've noticed a difference with Aaron Jones. Looks like he's got some fresh legs. I know he's dealing with a little bit of a knee injury and such, but the last couple of weeks, over 100 yards rushing. However, Chicago, number 1 in the NFL in run defense with 84 yards allowed per game. And they're also number 4 with 3.72 yards per carry. Going to be going up against a little bit of a tougher run defense with, Aaron Jones in this Packers running game. Some other numbers to throw out. Jordan Love, since week 11, is number 2 in the NFL with a 109.9 passer rating, but Chicago is number 1 with an opponent passer rating of 61.5. All right. Some other numbers. Bears haven't allowed more than 20 points in any of their last 5 games. Their lone loss was a 20-17 game against Cleveland, which that Chicago defense also had 3 interceptions, pick 6 on there too. So over those 5 games, Chicago is number 1 in points allowed, 15.2. Opponent's passer rating, 60.3. Interceptions, takeaways, and fourth down percentage, just at 20%. Number 6 in completion percentage, which was kind of a big number for Jordan Love at the beginning of the year, trying to get that up. But number 6 in completion percentage allowed, 59. Okay, total defense, number 7. Now, those are great numbers, right? Those are some impressive numbers defensively. Packers fans would take that for their defense any day of the week, 8 times out of the week. And not to be, but type of person, but I think it's worth noting. Do you look at who the Bears have faced in the last few weeks? Well, let's take a look at it. So this past week, Chicago beat up on Atlanta. An Atlanta team that beat Green Bay in week 2. But Chicago, at home, dropping 37 points on Atlanta, 37-17. In that game, Taylor Heineke, 10-29, 163, 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions. Justin Fields was solid, 20-32, 268, 1 touchdown. Herbert running the ball, 18 carries, 124. DJ Moore dominating in the secondary, 9 catches for a $159. Bears dominated the Falcons this past week. Then you go against Arizona. Again, at home for Chicago, 27-16 victory. However, Kyler Murray wasn't awful. He was 24 of 38 for 230 yards and 2 touchdowns. The only problem is that when you look at that game, and again, I'm not trying to make excuses or anything, but I think you got to look at this. When you look at this, the leading receiver for Arizona in that game was also the running back, James Conner. 5 targets, 5 catches, 67 yards. Conner was also the leading rusher, 12 carries for 45 yards. Justin Fields, meanwhile, in this game, 15 of 27, a $170, touchdown, and a pick. But most important thing, Bears won that game, 27-16. Then we go to the Browns. Browns team that, they're in the postseason. Great defense over there. Bears losing that game, just barely though, 20-17. As we mentioned, they had a pick 6 in there. But they forced Joe Flacco to throw 3 picks. He also had a couple touchdowns and threw for 374 yards. But they stopped that running game. Ford was their leading rusher, 8 carries for just 20 yards. Amari Cooper, though, 4 catches for $109. However, that Browns defense was also making things tough on this offense. Justin Fields, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, 19 of 40 passing. Johnson was their leading rusher for just 36 yards, and they shut down DJ Moore for 52. But the Browns have a pretty darn good defense over there. Then you look at Lions when they beat the Lions. Again, Bears were at home, 28-13, defeating the Lions. Fields, 223 yards passing, 1 touchdown. Jared Goff in that game, $161, touchdown, 2 picks. Go to the Minnesota game. It was in Minnesota. Bears 12-10. Remember that game? It's 12-10. Fields 27 of 37 for 217. Joshua Dobbs, though, 1 touchdown, 4 picks. So when we look at these games, the thing to me that a common thing that kind of stands out in a lot of these games is turnovers. Is the turnovers. In these wins for the Bears, defense, and just kind of look at that, but a lot of the stuff in here for me, what kind of stands out is the turnovers and how big of a factor they were in potentially deciding some of these games. And we went through the numbers. The Bears defense, they're hot and getting the ball and winning the turnover battle on the defensive side here. So to me, when I look at a lot of this stuff, Jordan Love, who has been great at taking care of the football, last few weeks, fewest interceptions thrown, 1, right? 1. We went through that yesterday. So I feel like a big deciding factor, if you want to, when I look at this Bears defense, they're an opportunistic defense. They're a defense that has been taking the ball away, and you're going up against Jordan Love, who has been really taking care of the football pretty darn good, one of the best in the league lately. That, to me, is going to be the biggest difference in this game, is who is going to win the turnover battle. If Green Bay can force turnovers, if that Green Bay defense can force some turnovers against the Chicago Bears offense against Fields, and they can limit their own turnovers, Green Bay's got this, in my opinion. Where this Bears defense has been really good is turning the ball over, but you look at some of the quarterbacks that they've gone up against. Taylor Heineke. Okay. Joshua Dobbs threw 4 picks. Even Flacco, threw 3 picks. Jared Goff threw 2 picks. We know Jared Goff can be turnover prone. We saw it in Thanksgiving. In one of these wins, and even the win that the Lions had over the Bears, Goff threw 3 picks. The lone quarterback that didn't really throw or didn't turn the ball over, didn't throw any picks, was Kyler Murray. He didn't even have any wide receivers to throw the ball to. So when I see this, when I look at this, yes, this Bears defense has been playing really well as of late, stopping the run, forcing turnovers. But if Green Bay, if Jordan Love, I think it's going to be hard to run the football on them. But if he can take care of the football and he doesn't turn that ball over, I think the offense can put up enough points to win this game. And I think it's going to be crucial too for the Packers to jump out to an early lead and put some of that pressure on that Bears offense and kind of maybe put some of that pressure on Justin Fields' shoulders, if you will. So, is it the competition that the Bears went up against when you look at this hot defense, when you look at, some of the numbers that they put up? You can maybe make that case. I mean, we could throw in the Panthers on here too. If we want, Bryce Young was 21 of 38, buck 85. Fields didn't play in that game. Bears won 16-13. Again, that was another home game for Chicago. I mean, when you look at their home and away record right now, I mean, Bears have been playing a lot better, and it's been at home. Yeah, a lot of their losses coming on the road this year. If we don't, their their home losses this year was Green Bay in Week 1, Denver in Week 4 when they were going through that awful stretch, then Minnesota. But it looks like since then, yeah, they've won all their games at home. So this one will be on the road here, which Chicago has struggled with a little bit. So I think if as long as Green Bay takes care of the football, long as Jordan Love doesn't throw a pick, long as they don't have stupid turnovers, don't give this opportunistic defense a chance to make a play on the ball or give the offense extra possessions, Green Bay, I think, will be okay. I think they'll be okay. I think it'll be a lower scoring game. I don't know if Green Bay is going to put up over 30 points like they did against Minnesota. I could see something maybe like a 24-20, something like that type of game. But I feel like it's going to be important too that Green Bay jumps out to a lead and kind of has that advantage right away. And I know Minnesota was kind of not the norm there because Green Bay got the ball and they weren't able to do like what they did against the Chiefs, taking the ball and scoring right away. But as long as Green Bay's offense and that's Matt LaFleur calling plays and that's Jordan Love too, kind of being in rhythm and getting hot. As long as they kind of stay one step ahead. And I thought that's what Green Bay did against Minnesota this past week. They were one step ahead of Brian Flores, it seemed like, in that defense. They were one step ahead against Steve Spagnuolo and the Chiefs defense. They were one step ahead against Detroit's defense on Thanksgiving. It just felt like they were a little bit ahead. And every time, Detroit tried to do something, Green Bay was just a little bit ahead of them in terms of offense going up against those defenses. And I think if Green Bay can do that against Chicago, they'll be in good shape. What did Jair Alexander have to say yesterday after his suspension? We'll hear from Jair and take a look at the practice report, which Green Bay had 21 players on. 21 players on. But when we look at it, maybe there actually is some good news within this Packers injury report compared to the Bears, who had 6 players listed on their practice report. But we'll take a quick break, and we'll hear from Jair after his week suspension. What did he have to also say about his future in Green Bay? Instead of making goals in the new year for yourself and setting yourself up for disappointment because you won't stick with them, how about setting a goal for your home? Whenever we begin a new year, we always try to come up with goals to better ourselves. But for 2024, let's better our homes as well. That starts with updating the flooring in your home with Wisconsin's premier flooring store, Carpet City Flooring Center in Eau Claire. Now, I'm willing to bet that a lot of you listening right now could think of at least a space or more where you don't even remember the last time that floor was updated. And think about all the wear and the tear and the spills those floors have gone through over the years. Yeah, it's time. Time to upgrade your floors and improve your home. From vinyl planks, tile, carpet, and more, Carpet City Flooring Center in Eau Claire has all the different options you could hope for in the flooring business, and they will match or beat the competition if you happen to find a better deal elsewhere. And to top it all off, they have the best team to work with in the area. So this year, better yourself and better your home with a new floor from Carpet City Flooring Center right here in Eau Claire. All right, Jair Alexander, after being suspended for the game against the Minnesota Vikings, was back at practice yesterday, was listed as a full participant in practice as well. So looking good with his shoulder and such. But what did he have to say to the media after serving his suspension? Well, let's hear from Jair. Audio courtesy from Packers.com.
Just the coin toss thing for why you were suspended. As you reflect back on maybe the last couple months and the fact that you were suspended, does that give you a different outlook on maybe how you carry yourself around the building?
Yeah, I think it was definitely something to learn from. There was definitely things that I could have improved upon during that week to help with the communication. And moving forward, that won't happen again.
What were some of the things that you could have done better?
Just communicate it. I think communication is big, and it's easy to talk to my guys, but talking to anybody else would be a little bit of a challenge. So I got to get better at that.
How do you feel getting back out there? I saw you
Yeah.
guys warm up just to get out there and play football with a lot at stake on Sunday.
Yeah, no, it felt good. It always feels good to be on the field just with the guys. This is the best time.
Physically, Jai, you feeling as good in a while?
Yeah, getting better, and we're gonna take it day by day.
What's your understanding of your role coming up for this Sunday, and how healthy are you to provide what you want to?
My role is nothing really changed. Just continue to be a leader that I have been, and make the plays that come to me.
Did you get through the Carolina game okay without a setback?
Pretty much.
Mm-hmm. What did you do all week?
All week, I was just training, preparing to play. So I know it wasn't gonna be forever that I'd be out, so I know I had to stay in shape.
Do you like being a Packer? Are you happy with the situation?
Yeah, I'm very grateful to be here.
Jair, does this affect your relationship with Goody or Matt or that?
No.
And if not, how do you keep it from doing so?
No, it doesn't affect my relationship with anybody. I think if anything, it improved it. So.
Matt mentioned the conversations he had with you. How important do you feel like those were from your side as well as from his side?
No, it was good for both parties to hear both sides. And that's kind of what we alluded to, and we got down to the nitty gritty.
What did you want from them? I'm sure they had things that they want from you. What did you want from them?
None. We all just agreed to be on the same page with communication moving forward.
Jair, we know how much you enjoy that matchup with Jefferson twice a year.
Yeah.
What was it like watching the game and not being able to be there, especially for that game?
It was. Initially I was, very upset, but when my guys went out there and did what they did, I couldn't be too mad. I was pretty happy. I sick my young boys on them, and I didn't have to move a muscle.
What did you text them after the game? They said that they got a text. What did you text them after the game? They said they got a text.
Oh, they got a text? Nah, man, I was just telling them good stuff all week, I was just giving them something positive all week since I wasn't going to be out there.
Were you surprised by the suspension, or did you have an idea something
Yeah, I was surprised by the suspension. I thought maybe I'd get fined.
Your teammates see you every day in practice, and they see what you do in a game. What more do you think the team wants you to do to be that leader, the next step?
Just keep doing what I'm doing and no setbacks.
Jair, besides the coverage part of the game, can you be as physical as you want to with that shoulder right now?
I can try to. It's a mindset. Some players are better than others.
You see yourself being a captain on Sunday, just to kind of mend the bridges, and if you've done everything that they've asked of you this week and last week.
Maybe.
Is the shoulder in a place where you can play this week?
Yeah, it should be good.
And you said that you're grateful to be here. Is there any part of you that doesn't want to be here next season, or you only want to be here?
Yes.
What does DJ Moore bring to the table for the Bears?
He's a dynamic receiver. He's fast, explosive, and he's pretty big and powerful.
Just to clarify, the yes is the yes, you fully want to be here next year.
Yeah.
John, there's a lot on the line for this game, a potential trip to the playoffs. What would it mean to beat the Bears to make it to the playoffs?
It'd be pretty cool. Very, very deserving of this season that we've had. So, this will put the candle on the cake.
Are you going out there with a little healthy chip on your shoulder, just to put everything behind you here?
Yeah. Yeah.
You mentioned being better for this, both parties being better for this. Will anything be noticeable to the outside? Will people say, "Oh, Jair has changed"? Would anybody notice anything?
No. My interviews might be a little more serious, but other than that, no.
All right, so that's from Jair Alexander yesterday, talking to the media after serving his 1 week suspension, his 1 game suspension. A couple notes there. He did say multiple times that he wants to remain in Green Bay. First noted that he is grateful for being there. I know a couple of times there you probably just heard him say, yeah, he was answering questions about what if he wanted to remain in Green Bay and wanted to stay in Green Bay for the future. He did acknowledge that a few times yesterday that he wants to be. Did acknowledge that the big thing, it sounds like there was a communication thing, and I'm not quite sure. I'm assuming he means the communication issue between him and maybe some of the coaches or maybe the front office and such, because he noted that, he's good when he's talking to his guys, referring to his teammates and such, but could be better at communicating elsewhere. So I'm assuming he's maybe referring to his coaches and such. And I guess I'm not quite fully sure what he needs to do better at and communicate, because we're not there. We're not in the walls of 1265 Lombardi Avenue. We're not in the locker room. We're not in the meetings or anything like that. So, but that's what I would guess if he kind of noted, I'm good with communicating with my guys, but I just got to, do a better job elsewhere over there. So, but I mean, for all the talk about Jordan, was it on Sunday, not Jordan Love, Jair, was it Adam Schefter? This is where I think, and again, not to pick on Schefter, because I would love to have, sources and NFL sources and all that sort of stuff too. But, Sunday, when there was that report that, sources told him, and I'm paraphrasing here, that Green Bay could be looking to unload Jair, but the contract could be, kind of difficult to move on from such. But it wasn't sources in Green Bay. If you actually read it, the headline was a little. It was kind of misleading, if you will, because it was sources around the league say that Green Bay may be a little, tired of, Jair or wanting to move on from Jair. I'm like, okay, well, that's sources around the league. That's not sources within Green Bay. You know what I mean? And it's like, it's such a gamesmanship thing that's out there that's played. I'm sure a lot of teams would probably love to have Jair Alexander and the talent that he brings. So, you throw that out there to an NFL media person, an NFL insider saying, hey, maybe Green Bay might want to move on. It starts a conversation. It starts a bunch of rumors and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, this was from a little bit from Schefter's thing on Sunday. But his $8 million bonus is now expected to become the trigger point that will likely lead the Packers into a decision on whether they want to keep Alexander or move on from him. Should they keep him, the Packers simply would pick up the option bonus, but Green Bay could also explore trade. But if you read on a little bit more here, it's just the wording of everything out there. It's like, okay, that's people outside of the organization. That's people outside of 1265. So it's, the headlines are a little bit misleading. That's why you kind of have to, I feel like you almost have to read in between the lines. Yeah, here's the line. But in the opinion of some sources around the league, the Packers cannot be pleased with how often Alexander has been inactive or about his behavior making his roster bonus a central issue. Again, the opinion of some sources around the league. But of course, that spiraled all across Sunday, saying, hey, maybe Alexander's on the trade or trading block. Maybe he could be on the move. I don't think he will be. I don't think he will be traded. I don't think he'll be moved on. That contract, it's the contract. We broke it down a couple weeks ago in terms of, it's a lot of dead money you'd be eating if you move on from Alexander. I feel like there could be a restructure coming up for Alexander to lower a cap hit coming up here soon, but I don't feel like Alexander is going to be on the move at all. I don't see that. I honestly feel like, in the opinion of some around the league, in the opinion of some sources around the league, that's a way of maybe trying to force the hand and maybe trying to see if they can get Alexander available for a trade or something like that. That's just me. That's my opinion on this sort of thing. But it'll be curious. You could kind of tell a little bit from Alexander, I think, in that piece or in that little bit of an interview. Sounds a little bit more humble. Sounds a little bit more straight to the point, right? I mean, in his previous interviews, he was never one that gave long answers or anything like that, but he sounds like a guy that suspension kind of hit him, and maybe sent a message, which was probably what Green Bay was trying to do. And he sounds a little bit more humble. But I'm really curious, if I could be a fly on the wall, what exactly is he referred to in terms of that communication? Was he just not talking with his coaches, or was he not maybe voicing his thoughts, or is it like that? I don't know. But I would fully expect Jair Alexander to still be on this team, in the future, next year and such. So, all right. I know we all don't really care about the Pro Bowl and such, but the Pro Bowl rosters were announced yesterday. Packers, only one of a couple teams to not have a Pro Bowler, and the teams that didn't have Pro Bowlers are teams that are out of the postseason. So Green Bay could be a postseason team here without a Pro Bowler. They got some alternates, and Rashawn Gary's the first alternate. But if you could select one, if you did care about the Pro Bowl, and you could select one representative for the green and gold to go to the Pro Bowl, who would that player be? And I guess maybe it's kind of like, who would you select as team MVP at this point in time? If you want to word it that way, I guess you could. But if you could pick, just kind of have a little fun thing here. We're not going to take this too serious. But if there was one Packer that you think should have been at least into the Pro Bowl or deserved to be in the Pro Bowl, who would it be? Who would that player be? Maybe think about, a player that doesn't show up in the stat sheets. Maybe a guy like a Zach Tom on the offensive line who has been pretty darn good this year. Is it somebody like that? Or maybe you think Jordan Love should be out there. So hit me up with some texts on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line, 715-830-1912. All right, we'll get to some of your picks coming up a little bit later on. We're going to talk some hoops as well in the next hour. Bucks falling again to the Indiana Pacers. We'll hit that up and such. We also got receiver defer coming up at 7:45. Send me your receiver defer questions. I'm looking for some out there. And then 8:30, we'll talk to Jake Folks, conservation warden for Wisconsin. You have any questions for our DNR warden? Send them in now so we can get those. To Jake. Okay, send those in now via text. Texting, quickest, best way to get it to me over there. So send those puppies on over. We'll again catch up with him at about 8:30 this morning. And I know probably a lot of you still waiting to maybe hit the ice, getting some ice first, and then hitting the ice and going out there and doing a little ice fishing and such. So, and then of course we'll get back to some more green and gold chats out there as well. 1 hour in, we got a couple more to go here. Stick around. We'll be back after these news updates. We'll do some sports nuggets of the day. We'll get to some hoops talk and get back to some of your texts after these few words. All right, here we go. Second hour on this Thursday morning. Talking a lot of green and gold in the first hour. We're going to hit up some hoops talk here in the second hour. Send over your receive or defer questions. Hitting us up with a text on that Shoe Doctor's bullpen line, 715-830-1912. Also, if you got any questions for Jake Boakes, our conservation warden buddy, send those puppies on over as well. But we'll get to Jake at about 8:30 this morning. Receiver defer coming up at about 7:40, 7:45. Before we get to some hoops talk, though, let's do some sports nuggets of the day. 1883, the Ontario Rugby Football Union was formed. The organization was the forerunner of the CFL. 1920, National Negro Baseball League was organized. 1957, the Dodgers bought a 44-passenger twin-engine airplane for $775,000. They were the first team to own their own plane. Let's go with 1974. NBC presented hockey in prime time. The Boston Bruins and the New York Rangers were the teams in the NHL game. Cowboys in 76 became the first wild card team to make it to the Super Bowl. They beat the Rams 37-7 in the NFC title game. Mary Shane was hired by the Chicago White Sox in 1977, and she was the first woman TV play-by-play announcer. The USFL in 1983 held its first player draft. 1984, Wayne Gretzky scored 8 points, 4 goals, and 4 assists for the second time in his career. Edmonton defeated the Minnesota North Stars in that game 12-8. The game was the highest scoring NHL game to date. 1996, Don Shula announced his retirement from coaching the Miami Dolphins after 26 seasons. And let's go. I'm sorry to bring this one up, Packers fans. 2003, the Packers lost 27-7 to the Atlanta Falcons in the NFC wildcard game. It was the first time that the Packers had lost a playoff game at home. I still remember that one. Night game, Saturday night, because I had to be at work at the gas station, Easy Stop in Medford by 5 o'clock the next morning. Remember watching that game, and yeah, oof. I think that's one. Is that one of your top 5 most memorable losses? If you had to, I mean, I think a lot of people, recency effect, would put. I mean, it's not that recent anymore, but obviously the NFC Championship game in Seattle's probably like one or right at the top for a lot of people. Super Bowl 32. I put this one in there. 4th and 26. I'm trying to think of some other ones. So that's 4. I mean, in Arizona. Whichever playoff one in Arizona, I guess it'd probably be the 2009 one, maybe. Yeah. First time, think about that though too. First time. I remember going to that game, it's like, oh yeah, Atlanta coming in, the cold Lambeau Saturday night, ain't gonna happen, and then look what happened. So, yeah, I would say that's probably a top 5 most memorable loss for me. Definitely. Still remember what I was doing that day. So, oh, and then, yeah, probably I thought the other one that's probably memorable for me when I was at the NFC Championship game, that freezing cold one against the Giants. I forgot about that one. I just thought of that too. I tried to mentally block that one out of my mind because I spent so much on a ticket that I couldn't buy. Sorry, UW Claire, but I used a little bit of financial aid for that one to buy a ticket. I remember after watching. So the day before, I was tailgating at the Packers playoff game against Seattle. It was a snow globe game. Just tailgating, didn't go to the game. They won against Seattle, obviously, after starting, down 14-0 or whatever it was. And then I remember watching Cowboys-Giants on Sunday. And as soon as the Giants lost, I went and bought a ticket to go to that NFC Championship game. So I'm like, guys upset the Cowboys. We're going to the Super Bowl. We're going to win the NFC Championship. We want to go there. Then they started talking about how cold it was going to be, and God, it was cold over there. I remember sitting next to a couple guys from New York, and they called it every time. Was it Hines, their kicker? Whenever he missed a couple, but every time they were like, "Yeah, he's going to miss this one. He's going to miss it." And then it was like the final time, they're like, "Sorry, guy, he's not going to miss this one." He got it. They called it, but yeah, that'd probably be number one for me since I was there, freezing my bunions off. Boy, oh boy. All right, those are some of your sports nuggets of the day for this morning. So, what else do we got over here? Let's talk some hoops. Bucks falling to the Pacers last night. Lost to the Pacers 4 times this year. Pacers have been that bugaboo team for the Milwaukee Bucks this year. 1-4 against the Pacers. Two of the highest scoring teams in the association, Bucks and Pacers. And the Pacers have had the upper hand. Giannis, in a typical jokingly Giannis way last night, when asked about the Pacers beating the Bucks 4 times, well, this is what he had to say after the game. When you're about to get freaky at night, you think about it. So, I love Giannis. But nonetheless, the Bucks 1-4 against the Pacers, and it's been high-scoring games too. You go back to November, they lost to the Pacers their first matchup, 126-124, 128-119, 140-126. That was a game that the Bucks actually won, 140-126. Then they lost the last two, 122-113, which are this week, and then 142-130 last night. It was a third quarter that really changed the direction of the game last night for the Bucks when the Pacers put up 47 points in the third quarter. 47 points in the third quarter. The Pacers outscoring them by 18. Bucks were only able to put up 29 in that third quarter. Tyrese Halliburton, Wisconsin native. His season continues to be pretty darn awesome. And last night, in 31 points, 12 assists in the game versus Milwaukee this year. These are Halliburton's numbers against Milwaukee this year. 27 points per game and 11 assists per game. 27 points and 11 assists. This year, Tyrese Halliburton is averaging 24.9 points per game and 12.7 assists per game. So he's pretty much averaging 25 a game, which is 19th in the league, but he's first in the league in assists and dishing it out 12.7. I mean, just what was it? He had back-to-back nights at the end of December. Yeah, December 28th, 20 assists, 21 points. Then against the Knicks on the 30th, 22 points, 23 dimes, 23 assists over there. Guy's having a fantastic season, and he has definitely been a thorn in the Bucs side. And that's, you kind of wonder, would he have been able to put up some of those numbers if Drew Holiday's out there? I don't know. I'm just pointing it out. I'm sure others have pointed it out over there as well. But last night, Giannis, 26 points, 11 rebounds, another double-double for him. He was just two assists away from having a triple-double. Damian Lillard, just 6 of 18 from the field, 2 of 8 from 3. Finished with 23 points, 9 of them coming from charity stripe over there. Marjan Beauchamp was your leading bench scorer for the Bucks. 6 of 9 shooting for the youngster, 12 points for him. Bucks quick turnaround though. They're going to be back in action tonight as they take on the San Antonio Spurs. So we'll see if the Bucks can rebound. Bucks 2-game losing streak right now at the hands of the Indiana Pacers. And Pacers right now, they're still chasing the Bucks. If they're if you even care about division races in the NBA. I don't, but they're still 4.5 back from the Bucks in the Central right now. Indiana is 5th in the Eastern Conference. If you're looking at the Eastern Conference standings, Bucks are still in second, barely, but they're 2.5 back from Boston for first, and Philadelphia is right on their heels, just a half game back from the Bucks right now. But when you look at it in terms of the standings, I mean, it looks like the perfect tiers. Your top three: Boston, Milwaukee, and Philadelphia. Then you've got like the next tier here with Miami, Indiana, Orlando, Cleveland, New York, all within like a game and a half a game and a half of each other. And then your final two spots, you got Brooklyn and Atlanta sitting there, but Chicago and Toronto just a half game back. So it's like a perfect 3-tier system right now, how the Eastern Conference is playing out, with Boston, Milwaukee, and Philly as your top three. Miami, Indiana, Orlando, Cleveland, New York in the middle there, that tier 2. And then, or maybe for some, it's tier 1 and Boston's the only team in tier 1, then tier 2 between Milwaukee and Philly, and then whatever. But you get the idea. You get the idea there. Adrian Griffin, yes, the other day talking about Jay Crowder, he said he's getting close. He's getting close to hopefully making a return here. Said that he is on his way. Adrian Griffin said that Crowder is on his way to a full recovery and is working to get back on the courts. Could be, we were talking about this the other day, with the trade deadline just a month away. What could the Bucks do? What will the Bucks do at the trade deadline? Will they do anything? And maybe one of those moves is just getting Jay Crowder back and healthy. I think we all know that his defense would definitely be welcomed. Would be welcomed on that court. He knows have been struggling defensively all season long, even when he was playing at the beginning of the year. But he was logging some serious minutes right away. Even started a couple of games, but he only played in 9 games, and then he got hurt. But they could definitely welcome his defensive presence and his intensity coming off the bench. So I think that would be a big boost. It's not to say that I don't think that the Bucks won't make a move, because I think if there's one thing that Bucks general manager John Horst has shown throughout his years as general manager for the Bucks, if there's a move that they believe benefits his team, benefits the Bucks, makes them better, he's going to at least look at that. He's going to look at that. And I think right now, if you're looking at this team, what are some of the moves that they can make to get better? They got to look at maybe getting a little bit better defensively, maybe in the backcourt. I mean, Brook Lopez is doing a fantastic job down low. We were talking about it yesterday. He might be the first 35-year-old or older to average about 3 blocks per game. He's getting the job done over there. But we know there was a drop-off in the backcourt defense. And that's probably been one of the disappointments with this Bucks team, even though they're still in second. But one of the biggest disappointments has been their defensive play, considering Adrian Griffin was coming in as a defensive-minded coach. And it just hasn't been clicking, hasn't been working at this point in time. All right. Got to take a quick break. But the Bucks, again, back in action tonight, going up against the San Antonio Spurs. Apparently, there's some rumblings out there that Victor Wembanyama is a little frustrated about his minutes restriction right now. Apparently, that's the news out there. Don't know if there's any drama at this point in time, but we'll see. Maybe because last time the Bucks went up against the Spurs, we didn't get to see the Greek Freak and Victor Wembanyama going at each other. So maybe we'll get to see that tonight here. But another road game for the Bucks. Then they got another road game on Saturday against Houston before returning home for 4 games, which includes Boston a week from today in Milwaukee. So Drew Holiday's return to Milwaukee, perhaps. All right, we'll take a quick break. Don't forget, send me who do you think is the one Packer that you think should have deserved to get to the Pro Bowl, or maybe your Packer team MVP right now. It's that time of year where we may be stuck indoors for a bit, so you need to make sure your pantries, your fridge, and your freezers are fully stocked. So how do you do that while also saving some money? Easy. Just shop at Hy-Vee in Eau Claire, whether it's stocking the pantry with some soups or dried goods or loading up the deep freezer with pizzas and frozen foods. Hy-Vee has the best selection to help keep you stocked during these winter months. Or if you just need a quick bite to eat, you can grab something from the food court or deli area as well. And with their Hy-Vee perks, you'll be saving money at the register and at the gas pump. Stock up on your favorite grocery items and save money with Hy-Vee in Eau Claire. Approaching the bottom of the hour on this Thursday morning. Don't forget to send me some receive or defer questions. Hit me up with a text with those. Quickest and easiest way for me to get those. If you don't mind, need some questions. Kind of awkward to come up with my own questions and answer them myself. But if you got some receive or defer questions, hit me up with a quick text over there. We'll get to those in about 10, 15 minutes or so. Probably about 15 minutes here. And then, of course, those questions for Jake Bolks for Outdoor Tidbits coming up at 8:30. Looking at a lot of your picks right now for if you had to pick, or if it was like Major League Baseball, and you had to pick a representative for the Packers to be in the Pro Bowl, who would it be? A lot of you going with Jordan Love right now. A lot of you going with Jordan Love, which I let's be real, I kind of expected that to be the pick. And I know voting was done before Christmas, which means, the Minnesota game's probably not on there, but we're making up our own rules right now. We're having our own on there. But yeah, you look at the quarterbacks that were picked for for the NFC. AFC was Tua, Lamar, and Patrick. No big surprise there. But for the NFC, come on, load up there. Gonna get them all going on here. So, but there we go. NFC one's over there. You've got no big surprises. Purdy, Dak Prescott, Matthew Stafford over there. So, no Jalen Hurts listed on there. I would probably go with if I could pick one. I could pick one. Not I'm gonna go with Zach Tom. I'm gonna give a little love to the offensive line, and I mean, you could look at Trent Williams and Lane Johnson and Sewell from the lines. They're all deserving too. But if I had to pick a Packer on there, I'm probably going Zach Tom because I mean the man has been doing a fantastic job as the right tackle for the Packers. You don't hear his name a whole lot because the guy is just consistently doing his job over there. I mean, he's usually one of the highest rated players when it comes to Pro Football Focus, if you will, or all that other stuff. But I'm going to give a little love to the offensive line, and I'm going to give it to Zach Tom as my representative over there because you can't really go with the wide receiver, can't really go with the running back. Defensively, I mean, if you want, you can maybe look at a guy like a Kenny Clark. Maybe a guy like Quay Walker, maybe. But you got Fred Warner doing his thing over there. Bobby Wagner's back in it for inside middle linebackers sort of thing. Rashawn Gary, you could put him on there too. I'd put him on there too. He's their first alternate, but yeah, I'm gonna go with the big man. I'm gonna go Zach Tom up there, and I think he's been one of the most under I should say underappreciated, maybe overlooked positives from this year. With all the ups and downs of this season, of all the kind of roller coaster play from some of these players, I feel like Zach Tom has been a guy who's just been pretty darn consistent and pretty darn solid. He's only had 3 penalties all season long. Please don't jinx it for this game. And he's only given up 2 sacks. That's it. He's been pretty darn good. And with the season that, we've pointed at a lot of individual players and some players who have had some really good games in some game, but some players who have just had, have really, really struggled. Zach Tom has been a nice bright spot for this team. A guy that if we rewind it, he's in his second year too. But if we rewind to the preseason and we go to, training camp and all that stuff, he was getting some snaps at center. At one point, maybe it looked like there was a little competition between him and Myers at that center spot. Zach Tom's a guy that in his rookie year was getting snaps at center, at tackle, left and right, then at guard. He had a typical Packers offensive lineman that could play multiple positions on the line. But he has really kind of solidified that right tackle spot. That's his. That's his spot. And he has been doing a fantastic job over there. Now, can Walker, the other youngster over there, is he going to be the future starting left tackle? He's been playing well as of late. Is that his job for the foreseeable future? I mean, it would make, not to get into draft talk or anything like that, it would, kind of make some decisions a little bit easier when it comes to the draft. But we'll see. We'll see. In our Man Cave Facebook group, and if you're not a member of that, what the heck are you doing? I posted up a question yesterday and got some responses over there. But it's just, again, it's a group that we kind of have, off-air topics, throw in some topics from myself or a lot of you out there too. But we throw some out there and, kind of bring them back for maybe a conversation or put it on a podcast or something like that. But yeah, which rookie has surpassed your expectations this season? I'm not necessarily asking who do you think has been the best rookie. And I was kind of looking for like a rookie, your picks too that, you really didn't expect that player to do much this year, but is blowing your expectations. So, like, for example, I was high on Jaden Reed. I was really intrigued on Jaden Reed at the beginning of the year in preseason and training camp. And he has been playing incredibly well. Their leading receiver has done a bunch of different things. So I didn't list him as my rookie who surpassed my expectations because I was expecting, or I was hoping, I should say, to see a lot from Jaden Reed. So he wasn't on mine. I'm not saying that my two picks are the best rookies. I mean, Jaden Reed would probably win that. So I'm looking at like a receiver who you think really surpassed your expectations, that you weren't expecting a whole lot from. And, same with the tight ends. And maybe Tucker Kraft. I thought about putting Tucker Kraft on mine. By the way, I had Carrington Valentine and Dontavian Wicks. I thought about putting Tucker Kraft on there because when you go back to the preseason, you look back at training camp, he was a guy that was kind of overshadowed by Musgrave and really wasn't doing a whole lot in the passing game. And even at the beginning of the year, he was, not seeing a whole lot of snaps from him. And then ever since Musgrave has been out, Tucker Kraft has been shining. So, even though he was a third-round pick, a little bit higher of a pick than a lot of these guys, he's been playing incredibly well as of late. But to me, my two, and I know Carrington was on my Lindsey Pipkins Memorial preseason watch list. He was one of my guys over there. But as a seventh-round rookie, going in there and logging a lot of snaps and now a starter, and I think in line to be a starter going forward into the future, I got him on there. And then Dontavian Wicks. Dontavian Wicks is the third leading receiver on this team. Fifth-round pick. And I think he is really kind of, when I looked at this receiving group at the beginning of the year, you had Watson, you had Dobbs, you had Jaden Reed on there, right? You had those guys on there. Toure was in there too, but didn't really know what to expect. And then, you had the tight ends on there, and then you just had Dontavian Wicks kind of there. Malik Heath was a big name in the preseason, made as an undrafted kid. But Dontavian Wicks, I think, has really kind of surprised a lot of people, a lot of Packers fans in a positive way. Like, oh, okay, he's quickly developed when he's out on the field. He has quickly developed into a favorite for Jordan Love. I mean, in that Buccaneers game, he was close to being the first receiver to have over 100 yards receiving, 6 catches, 97. I mean, this year, 520 receiving yards, just a couple touchdowns, but he has developed into a go-to guy for Jordan Love. And I feel like he kind of, with all the young pass catchers, and when I say pass catchers, I'm including the tight ends and the receivers in this. But at the beginning of the year, he kind of, I think, was maybe a little bit overshadowed or got lost a little bit in the shuffle behind Watson, behind Romeo, behind Jaden Reed. I mean, even behind Malik Heath there a little bit because Malik Heath had a really good preseason. And then Dontavian just kind of comes out in the last, couple months here, and I think has really shown that he could be a player for this team. He could be a pretty darn good receiver. So those are my two. Those are my two. But some of yours out there, Reed and Wicks. Reed, Wicks is the one who has exceeded. Seabob said I would like to say Jane Reed, but Dontavian Wicks is the one who has exceeded all expectations. Some other picks on here. Tucker Kraft has been a nice one. That's from Casey. Tony Bloomer Tony says I've been impressed with Carl Brooks and Colby Wooden and the energy those guys bring when they get in. Heath has also been a great addition with his size and downfield blocking. Brett says, gotta be Valentine for me. Jake says, same as yours, but you and Reed stepping up as much as he has caught me off guard. Also, Kraft is a monster. I would love if he and Musgrave recreate a Ron Hernandez type deal aside from the obvious criminal activities. All right. Let's take a break, and then we'll finish up the second hour with some receiver defer. Thank you to those of you who have sent over some receive or defer questions. Still got a couple minutes. If you've got something, help me out here. Help a guy out. Come up with some receiver defer questions and text those babies on over to that Shoe Doctor's bullpen line. But we'll take a quick break and finish up the second hour in just a few minutes. Looking for that caffeine kick to get you going each morning and throughout the day? Well, that's easy. You're looking for Cabin Coffee in Altoona. Whether you're in the mood for coffee, tea, or an iced energy drink, Cabin Coffee has something to help you get going in the mornings and throughout the day. Cabin Coffee also has a breakfast and lunch menu with a wide range of options for you to choose from as well. So don't settle for low quality drinks and food to fill your energy void. Go for fresh and high quality at Cabin Coffee because you and your taste buds deserve better. All right, let's finish up the second hour with a little receive or defer. So big thanks to everybody who has texted those on over here for me, since I'm riding a little solo here this morning. So let's go through the list here. Receive or defer, Dan. This one comes from Ben. It looks like Ben saying receive or defer, Dan. The Packers will move on from David Bakhtiari this off season. I had read a prediction column from a writer the other day saying he predicts David Bakhtiari to be back next season. I read that same one. I am going to defer that. I don't think Bakhtiari is going to be back next year. Just the cap hit, the unknown of his knee, unless there's like a major restructure, but then you might be pushing more cap hits down into the future and such. I just no, I don't see it. And I think with the emergence of Walker in these last couple weeks, and that's where I think too, it's going to be, kind of a big. It's obviously a big decision for the front office and such. I don't see it. I don't see it happening. I hope David Bakhtiari can continue to play and can continue his career. I don't like it when players, can't determine when they want to end their careers. Like you hope an injury doesn't necessarily end somebody's career. You'd like to see them go out on their own, but I don't see Bakhtiari back next year for Green Bay. So I'm going to defer that one unless I guess, never say never, but I'm going to defer that right now at this point. Receiver defer if the Bucs face the Indiana Pacers in the playoffs, they would lose that series. Well, thanks Greg for that one. Well, the Bucs are 1-4 right now against the Indiana Pacers. They seem to be their Miami Heat. I think I would be. I don't think I'd be the only one that might be a little bit nervous about that series. I think we'd all be a little bit nervous. I think that would be a series that goes 6 or 7. But if I'm being honest, I'd still pick the Bucs to win it. But that definitely will be a talking point. I mean, the Pacers would go into that series. I know we got a long ways to wait or long ways to go yet when it comes to this a potential playoff series. But that'll be a talking point. And the Pacers are going to go into that thing confident that they can beat the Bucs in that series. And hopefully, Bucs really focused and realizing that they got their butts whooped by the Pacers throughout the regular season. And hopefully they would use that as a little motivation. But if I'm being real, I'd be nervous. But I think I'd still pick the Bucs to win that series if they happen to face each other in the postseason. But yeah, for whatever reason, Pacers have the Bucs number right now. No doubt about it. Receive or defer. No name to this one. Receive or defer. If the Packers win a playoff game, Joe Barry's job is safe for next year. I'll defer that. I think it's in stone. Maybe I shouldn't say in stone because maybe, and I know this might be chuckling for a lot of people, somehow if Green Bay wins the Super Bowl, maybe it would save his job there. But no, if they even win a playoff game, if they get to the postseason first, and if they win a playoff game, I don't think Joe Barry's job is safe. I think Joe knows that. I think Matt LaFleur knows that. I think a lot of people just know that, assume that. I don't think one win in the postseason, if they were to get there, is enough to save Joe Barry's job. I mean, we've seen, defensive coordinators or offensive coordinators getting let go after, title game appearances like AFC or NFC title game appearances. So, no, I don't think one game is enough. One playoff game is enough to save Joe Barry's job at this point. Maybe the only way to save it would be a Super Bowl title for Green Bay this season, but I'm not even predicting that to happen. Receive or defer, Jordan Love throws for 2 touchdown passes or more against the Chicago Bears. I'm going to receive that. I think, because I think it's going to be tough to run the ball against Chicago's defense. They've been really good at stopping the run. So I think for Green Bay to score, they're going to have to throw the ball, and they've been pretty solid in red zone this year. So yeah, I'll receive it. I think Jordan Love's going to have at least 2 touchdown passes right now. And not that it really matters or anything like that, but when you look at touchdown passing leaders in the NFL right now, there's a chance that Jordan Love could finish the season with the most. There's a chance. Brock Purdy ain't going to be playing, and he's in second with 31. Jordan Love's at 30. Dak Prescott's at 32. He's number 1. Isn't that weird, though? Like, remember during that stretch, Peyton Manning and Aaron Rodgers and Brady and that, we were, like, talking in the 40s, right? Like, touchdown passes in the 40s and mid to low 40s, Peyton, or even getting close to 50s. And right now, and those were 17-game seasons or 16-game seasons, 17-week seasons. We got another game added on. And the leader right now entering the final week of the regular season, 32. 32. It hasn't exploded, or at least right now, a little bit down. Even like passing yards. Tua is the leader at 4,451. And there's a chance when you look at this, Jordan Love's going to there's a real good chance that Jordan Love could finish the season with over 4,000 passing yards, and he's at 10 right now. Matthew Stafford isn't playing. He's at about, quick math, a little over 100 from him, and he's in 6th. So Jordan Love can move up and finish this season close to top 5 in passing yards, finish top 5, at least top 3 in passing touchdowns. And again, to me, I think it's almost kind of a badge of honor, too, that the Packers don't have a 1,000-yard receiver. They finally had a 100-yard receiver, Bull Melton, and half those, like 37 of those yards, came from the Sean Clifford pass at the end. I mean, that's an example of spreading the ball around to literally everybody on this team right now. Receive or defer, the Bucs will make a move before the trade deadline. This one is from Jake on the texting line there. I think they'll make a move, but it's not going to be a move for like a starter or anything like that. Maybe a bench guy, a defensive, like maybe like a 3-and-D type of player. But I think if anything, they may bring in a backcourt defensive help over there. But I wouldn't expect any major moves. I mean, when you look at the roster too, you have to wonder, like, who would they move on from? Who would they be able to give up to get somebody to return? So I don't think it'll be anything big. And I think Jay Crowder coming back is going to help bolster that depth there. I still like their depth. It's just the defensive thing has to get it going here. They got to be a little bit better, and they got to be more consistent there. So I think I will receive that. I think they make a move, but it's a very, very minor move. Minor move. Receive or defer? Going back to the Packers here. This one is from Matthew. Big thanks, Matthew. Matthew says, receive or defer. Aaron Jones will rush for over 100 yards against the Bears. I'm deferring that. I'm deferring any of that right now. Or I should say any of that, but I'll defer that. I know he's got over 100 yards in the last two games here. I don't see it against Chicago. I mean, Chicago's run defense has been better as of late. They are number one right now in run defense, and then yards per attempt. I don't see that. I think Aaron Jones is going to be out there quite a bit with AJ Dillon now dealing with not only the thumb issue, but he had the stinger in that game against the Vikings. He did not practice yesterday. It was kind of a walkthrough practice, but he was listed as a DNP. I think Aaron Jones is going to be a very big key for this game on Sunday, both running the ball, but also being involved in the passing game. I don't see Aaron Jones rushing for over 100 yards in this game. I think if Aaron Jones does rush for 100 yards in this game, though, Packers win. I think Packers win. I don't think he's going to get over 100 yards. All right. Big thanks to everybody who texted in your receiver defers. Appreciate you getting those in early, too. Coming up next hour, we'll get back to some more green and gold chat here. Revisit a little bit that we talked about in the first hour here, taking a look at this Bears defense. Just how well have they been playing in the last few weeks? And does some of it relate to the opponents they've been going up against? Or does that even matter? We'll hit that up. Then 8:30, our outdoor tidbits for Mr. Jake Boakes. Last call for any questions for him, so we can text those, or please text those on over so we can get those to Jake so we can answer them at 8:30 for us here. I know some of you probably still waiting for some ice or more ice to get out there to do some ice fishing and such. But if you got any questions for our DNR warden, please text those over now. You got to text them because that's the quickest way I can get them and get those to Jake there too. So, and then kind of a fun question, just a random question that we've been floating out there. Wide majority of you going with Jordan Love here, but with no Packer getting elected to the Pro Bowl, got some alternates. Rashawn Gary's the first alternate. Who is the one Packer that is most deserving to have, or should have been at least, selected to the Pro Bowl? May not mean a whole lot to fans, but for some of these players, it means a lot. For some, they just want to experience it one time, but also a lot of these players, they've got incentives within their contract. If they are elected to a Pro Bowl, they get some extra coin. All right, they get a little extra dough in their pockets. So it means a little bit more to a lot of these other players out there. But if you had to select one that you think is most deserving, who would it be? I went with Zach Tom, right tackle, giving some love to the offensive line. All right, shot clock's going to cut me off here. So we'll kick off the final hour here in just a couple minutes. Talk a little bit more. We'll take a look at this Bears defense. Then we get Jake at the bottom of the hour here. 2 in, 1 more to go. We'll be back after these quick news updates. All right, final hour here on this Thursday morning. Big thanks for tuning in wherever, however you may be tuning in from, whether it's on the radio dials at 105.1 FM, 790 AM, using the app, Google and Alexa home devices, or maybe checking out the video stream on YouTube, Facebook, or Twitter. Coming up at the bottom of the hour, we'll catch up with Jake Bolks, our conservation warden, answering your questions. So literally, this is the last call for any questions. You got to text them to me on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line, 715-830-1912. Before we get to that, been talking a little bit about the Packers and Bears matchup here. Before that, I should mention too, Brewers did make a move yesterday, so it's been a quiet so far, kind of a quiet off season, not only just for the Brewers but for Major League Baseball after the Ohtani and such deals. You're still waiting for some of the other big name players out there, but the Brewers did acquire another bullpen pitcher, Brian Hudson from the Dodgers, for Justin Chambers, pitcher Justin Chambers, and a player to be named or cash. A little bit about Hudson from Brewers.com. Hudson is the latest bullpen ad for the Brewers, who view that area of the club as a strength. The 26-year-old made a brief major league debut in 2023 after parts of 8 seasons in the minors, the last 3 pitching primarily as reliever. He saw his strikeout rate jump with the move up to a career best 13.9 strikeouts per 9 innings over 46 appearances, including 8 starts for the Dodgers AAA affiliate. With Hudson, the Brewers have 39 players on their 40-man roster. So, the guy's a big dude too, 6'8". I was looking at some of his numbers yesterday. 6'8". Big and imposing. But in his 6 games that he appeared in with the Dodgers, he pitched in 8 2/3 innings, 7 earned runs, 1 home run, 12 hits. So 7.27 ERA, 3.16 average over there. So just wanted to note that Brewers did make a move yesterday in what has been a pretty darn quiet offseason so far for the crew. As we approach a little bit closer to Sunday's game, Bears returning to practice for the first time this week, getting set to take on the Bears. And you look at that injury report for Green Bay, and it's long. 21 players on that thing. 21 compared to the Bears, who had 6. Now, to kind of give you a little bit of a maybe peace of mind here. One, Green Bay does sometimes it feels like they over-report. So, I mean, maybe if a guy has a broken fingernail, he's on there. But there is some positivity with this list. So just because they're on the injury report doesn't necessarily mean they didn't practice or they're not going to play in the game. We all know that, right? But some positivity. Jair Alexander listed as a full participant, not limited. He has been listed as limited when he's been preparing these last few weeks when he's not suspended, dealing with that shoulder injury. So he was listed as full. Devondre Campbell listed as full. He's missed the last couple weeks, which could be big considering Isaiah McDuffie dealing with that concussion and neck injury from his hits on Sunday. He was listed as a DNP. Now, the Packers, I should also note too, it was kind of a walkthrough practice on Wednesday. So participation was based off an estimation, but that also means that if they did have a full-on practice, Campbell would have been full, Jair would have been full. So that Campbell one might be a big one considering the depth at inside linebacker. Also, Christian Watson listed as a limited participant. However, you listen to some of his comments after practice and even Jordan Love after practice, kind of got the impression that Christian Watson is preparing to play, or he knows he's going to be playing on Sunday. When you kind of read between the lines there, I mean, they didn't come out and say, yep, I'm playing, but it sounds like he's expecting to to play. And when you listen a little bit to Jordan Love, when you look at some of the stuff that they said too, it kind of seems like Christian Watson's going to play, that he's going to play. So, yeah, Christian Watson's from Matt Schneidman. My passion is playing football, and now it's looking a lot like I'm going to be able to play some football this Sunday. I'm in a really good spot. Some other positivity in the receiving department. You've got Jaden Reed, who left that game early on Sunday night. He was also listed as a limited participant. He said yesterday after practice, everything was fine, went in, got x-rays, scanned, and everything was good. I feel pretty good. Dontavian Wicks also practiced. So you might, yeah, Josh Myers also was practicing after getting hurt on Sunday. So fingers crossed that even though that injury list is long for Green Bay, that doesn't mean that all those guys are out, that they're going to miss the game. Got some positive stuff with this. Today and tomorrow are going to be the big days to see really who's got the best shots at going on Sunday. Like if Christian Watson does more today, does more tomorrow, that's trending well that he's going to play on Sunday. And Jordan Love, said yesterday, even with all the time missed from Watson, he doesn't expect, because they were firing on some cylinders, right? It looked like, in October, maybe the connection wasn't there, but then right before Watson got hurt, it looked like that connection was finally getting there. Love said yesterday that he doesn't expect that connection, to go back down or them not having that connection. He expects it to pick up where they left off. Which, having Watson on the field, I don't know if he would explode and have 100 yards, but to have somebody like that taking the top off the defense and having a little bit of a deep threat and maybe opening up stuff underneath or across the middle a little bit more. I mean, just having guys available and having your talented dudes out there is going to be such a huge benefit. And I know, might as well bring it up right now. When you look at some of these defensive numbers for Chicago, their defense has been playing really well as of late. Really well as of late. They're one of the best in QB ratings. Okay? One of the best. They're best at stopping the run. Right? They're one of the best at stopping the run out there too. So this is going to be a tough task for this Packers offense. Now, first hour, we were kind of breaking it down, and you kind of look at, does some of that relate to the opponents they played? You got the Vikings on there when Dobbs was there. Carolina was listed in there. Detroit was listed on there. You got Arizona, Falcons last week and such. But I don't think Green Bay is paying too much attention to this that the Bears played. They're paying attention to how the Bears themselves have been playing. Yeah, Chicago, number 1 in the NFL in run defense with 84 yards allowed per game. Number 4 yards allowed per carry, 3.72. And we talked about that quarterback rating. Chicago, number 1 with an opponent passer rating, 61.5. And since week 11, Jordan Love has been number 2 in passer rating. And this Bears defense has been an opportunistic defense as of late too, creating turnovers, getting picks. They're one of the top teams in these last 5 games in takeaways and interceptions. Number 1 in points allowed in these last 5 games. And interceptions and takeaways. Jordan Love, since, weeks, he's been number 1 in not throwing picks. He's only thrown 1. 16? Was it 16-1? Yeah, 16-1 right now. So he's been taking care of the football. So he's going up against a defense that has been pretty darn good at getting that ball, taking it away. But that defense also going up against a quarterback who's been seeing the field really well and taking care of the football. That to me is why I think one of the biggest keys, and we'll really break down keys to victory and key matchups and all that tomorrow. But when you look at a lot of these games that the Bears have played these last few weeks, these last few games, the thing that really stands out is the turnovers. And some of these quarterbacks, the amount of times they've thrown a pick. The one outlier is kind of Joe Flacco, who's got a couple picks on there, and the Browns escaped with a 20-7 victory. And Kyler Murray, they beat the Cardinals. Kyler Murray had a decent game, but he had no receivers to throw to. James Conner was his leading receiver. But that's why I feel like if Green Bay takes care of the football and they don't turn the ball over, they win this game. I feel like the turnover battle is going to be perhaps the biggest key in this game. Can Green Bay take care of the football, or can Chicago force some picks, get some picks from Jordan Love, who has not been turning the ball over as of late? And kind of on the flip side here too, can Green Bay's defense get some turnovers from Justin Fields? Because when you look at these last few games, Justin Fields has been turning some ball, in some of those losses. It's when Justin Fields has struggled to not turn the ball over. So can Green Bay's defense get some picks? I think the turnover thing is going to be a big, big, big key in this thing. Big key in this. But I don't think we should pay too much attention to the opponents that Chicago's defense has gone up against. Is it a little bit of an asterisk next to it? Maybe. But numbers still don't lie. They've been playing really well. And they've been making things difficult on opposing offenses. And it's going to be a little bit more difficult for Green Bay. This is a different defense than what Green Bay went up against in week 1. This is a defense that's playing with more confidence in Chicago. I feel like Chicago is going to come into this game with a lot of confidence and all the motivation in the world to end their main rival's season, to stop their main rival from getting into the postseason. And that's why I feel like this is going to I feel like this is going to be a game that goes down to the wire, and I'm going to be an anxious, nervous Nelly sitting in Lambeau Field with this game. But man, I think it's going to be a good one. I think it's going to be a good one, and I think it's going to be a tight one. We'll break this one down a little bit more detail again, as we usually do on a Football Friday. Key matchups, keys to victory. But kind of do some homework before we get to that tomorrow, okay? Kind of look at what the Bears have done recently in these last few weeks defensively. Kind of look at, what they've been doing really well, stopping the run, quarterback play, stopping opposing quarterbacks, limiting them. That quarterback rating, I think, is one of my favorite stats when it comes to deciphering, is a defense really legit or not. And that was, I remember Dom Capers when he was with Green Bay. He always talked about one of the stats they always looked at, or he always looked at, was quarterback rating. How his defense stacked up against the quarterback, how they limited that quarterback. That was one of the nuggets, or that was one of the statistics that they looked at was quarterback rating. And that's one of my favorite ones to look at when you try to decipher, defense going up against certain quarterback. Overall, too. But kind of take a look back at these last few weeks and kind of see where different areas that maybe Chicago has, I'm giving you a little bit of a homework assignment, but their defense, where they've kind of, does some stuff that's really well that may present a little bit of a challenge to Green Bay come on Sunday. Earlier, Aaron Jones has been running the football really well, back-to-back 100 yards. But now you're going up against the Bears defense that's been doing a pretty dang good job at stopping that run. Will Green Bay stay committed to the run? Will they abandon it if they're not having success with it right away? I feel like a big key in this one, too, when Green Bay's offense has been rolling, when they have been really good is when it seems like they're just a step ahead of the defense in terms of calling plays or play calling or scheme. I felt that way against Minnesota on Sunday. It just felt like Matt LaFleur was a step ahead of Brian Flores. Felt that same way against Kansas City. They felt like the Packers offense just felt a little bit ahead, like a step ahead to a step ahead of Steve Spagnuolo in that defense. Same with the Lions on Thanksgiving. I feel like that's going to be important for Green Bay in this game as well. To be a step ahead. Be a step ahead of Matt Eberflus calling the defensive plays for Chicago in this game. So, we'll kind of break that down a little bit more tomorrow in our key matchups, keys to victory, and that sort of thing there too. Isn't it wild though? Like you want a crazy stat, and you can say I'm picking on Bears quarterbacks and all that, but this is just wild to me when I saw this the other day. Jordan Love, with his statistics this year, he's got 30 touchdown passes. He's got over 3,800 passes. Do you know how many quarterbacks in Bears history have thrown for 30 touchdown passes in a season? None. 0. And Love's passing yards would rank number 1 in Bears history too. Jordan Love's, this is according to Billy Huber, Jordan Love's touchdown to interception ratio would be second best in Bears history. The only one better was actually Mitchell Trubisky. Or, excuse me, is second best, and only Mitchell Trubisky posted a passer rating better than Love's 93.8. And that was the one year that the Bears went to the postseason under Mitchell Trubisky. Think about that. The most passing yards in Bears quarterback history. I would have thought it would have been Jay Cutler. I thought it would have been one of those years with Jay Cutler when they had Alshon Jeffrey, Brandon Marshall, Martellus Bennett, and even Matt Forte catching passes out of the backfield. I thought it would have been one of those seasons. No. I would have thought Cutler would have had 30-some touchdown passes. Because I still remember those teams and thinking, man, those are some big receivers. How are the Packers corners going to slow those guys down? Martellus Bennett, big tight end. Matt Forte was an all-around back that could do it, catching passes, running the football. Now, Eric Kramer has the most passing yards in a season in Bears history in 1995. 3,838. Then it's Cutler the next three. 09, 15, 10, and then Trubisky in 18. 3,223. The most passing touchdowns in a season, too. Kramer, 29, 95. That blew my mind away. That best touchdown to interception ratio, too, by the way. Eric Kramer, 29 and 10 and 95. Love 30 and 11. So barely. Just barely. But that's just like, wow. Think about that. Unreal. When I saw that the other day, I could not believe it. All right, we got to take a quick break. Then we've got Mr. Jake Boakes on. So thank you to those of you who have sent in your questions for Jake. If you have any questions, got to save them for next time here. So we'll take a quick break and we'll get to our outdoor tidbits with Mr. Boakes coming up in just a few minutes.
6 radio stations of Midwest Family Eau Claire. Midwest Family Eau Claire also offers content marketing, including social media and email marketing. They do a lot of digital marketing, very current with what's needed to help grow businesses. They assist with brand development, graphic design, and logos. There are a lot of things offered by Midwest Family Eau Claire to help you dominate your industry. Build a marketing plan with them, and you're going to see measurable results. And they will get you a free marketing strategy as well. So check it out. The website for Midwest Family Eau Claire and grow your business. It's MidwestFamilyEauClaire.com.
Save big money on Clearview Cabinetry. Clearview Cabinetry starts as a kitchen built for now and grows with you as life changes. It's flexible by design with full access cabinet construction, so you can go from doors to drawers for storage that works when you need it. Explore Clearview's cabinet options in store and on Menards.com and save big money today. Big buys, big savings. Check out more of our great deals going on now at Menards.
Save big money at Menards.
Do you know of anyone who needs some help chasing their dreams and passions? Backyard Dreams wants to help. Email us at info@sportstalk1051.com so we can help.
New year, but still those same aches and pains. Do something about it this time. Make your appointment with Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine and start living that pain-free and healthy life. That way, when summer rolls around, you'll be able to enjoy those outdoor activities again. Get started now by visiting cvosm.com to schedule your appointment. The entire team at Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine is dedicated to providing you with the care you need to get back to living your life pain-free. All right, let's do it. Let's do our outdoor tidbits with Mr. Jake Boakes.
Answering your questions and giving you the tips you need to be successful and safe in the outdoors. It's time for your outdoor tidbits. Have a question you'd like answered by Jake? Send it to us, and we'll ask.
Maybe now with some of the colder temperatures coming here, we'll get a little bit more ice around the area. But Jake, have you seen anybody still with boats out on the water or something like that, with a lot of the open water still out there?
I have seen some videos, and I had some buddies that went out and open watered walleye fished around here and stuff. So it's there's still people doing it, but I think we're finally getting cold enough where at least we're not losing ice.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're not making it fast, but it's not melting at least.
Right, exactly. I want to start it off with a question we had from a texter this morning. Speaking of doing some fishing, he says, when fishing the when fishing the Mississippi River, do I need to have a hard copy of my fishing license, or can I use my conservation card?
So it's a great question, and you have to have the hard copy, like the paper copy. And the whole reason for that is the Minnesota wardens can check fishermen on either side of the river, and they don't have our Law Enforcement Go Wild app that can scan those conservation cards or your driver's license. So when you hand them a card, you might as well be handing them, you know, your library card from Eau Claire or something like that, because it doesn't really mean anything to them. So you have to have that hard copy paper license so the Minnesota wardens can see it. And as a Wisconsin resident, you have to have a Wisconsin fishing license when fishing on the river. It's kind of a weird law, but even if you're fishing on the Minnesota side of the river and you have a non-resident Minnesota fishing license, legally you're still supposed to have your Wisconsin license, and therefore you got to have that hard copy.
Gotcha. I'm assuming would it be some than like for somebody from Minnesota fishing the Mississippi River?
Yep. It's kind of the same way on the other side. A Minnesota resident has to have a Minnesota fishing license, and they got to have the hard copy because we don't have access to their systems or anything like that.
Okay.
So in order to make it easy for any warden, including a federal warden, because there's a lot of federal wardens because of the national lands down there, properties, the easiest, simplest way to do it is just paper copy for everyone.
Now,
I will say,
go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I will say, Minnesota's pretty strict on it. I don't know if you'll receive a citation or not, but I do know they're pretty strict on having that hard copy because I've seen it firsthand.
So I know this isn't really close to us, but would that be I don't know if you know this off the top of your head. Would that be similar to like say somebody fishing in Lake Michigan or something like that?
Yep.
Okay.
So I think it even says it on the fishing license, but that law, the hard copy is any boundary water of the state of Wisconsin. So any water where it butts up to another state or, have the potential for any agency to check you. So Mississippi River, the Menominee River up in Michigan, the Great Lakes, and then like if there's any lake or Iowa or anything like that, the St. Croix River part of it. So all those boundary waters or outlying waters, you got to have that hard copy.
Interesting. Good nugget right there. So good question. Thank you for that. For whoever texted that one in.
Yeah, and it's definitely, it might be an inconvenience. Maybe it's a reason to stop and get a coffee or some new lures, but it's definitely one where you want to stop at a Fleet Farm or a gas station, have them reprinted if you're going to go down to the Mississippi or this or that. Because again, they're pretty. If you hand them that Go Wild card and plead ignorance, depending on the day, they might not be too happy with that.
Nice. Yeah, definitely. I mean, it might be a little bit of an inconvenience, but it'll save you a lot of money out of your pocketbook too, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
I know we still got some trapping going on, right, Jake? I think at the end of the month that I see Bobcat period T is over or period 2 is over with, but still in the middle of February we still got is it fox and coyote and raccoon and all that.
Yeah, so you got your first season Bobcat going on. Fisher for both seasons this year ends January 7th, I believe. Usually Fisher ends a little bit earlier, but this year they both end on the same date. And what is it? Oh, it's the 4th today, so in a few days. Bobcat and then Bobcat the second season or more like the quote unquote winter season starts here. In the later you got beavers, you got otters, you got fox in this. So you have a lot of opportunity. Just really make sure you read those trapping regs and just find out whatever species you're trapping that you end on the correct date.
And then we still got I know we talked about this a couple weeks ago, but with that extended archery season too for some counties out there, that still goes to the end of the month.
End of the month, yeah, pretty crazy. You can archery hunt deer from mid-September all the way to basically February these days. But yeah, if you're in a county that had a bonus holiday hunt and chose, it's not automatic, but if they chose to have the extended archery season, then you get to go longer. Not every county, like Trempealeau, for example, they chose to have the holiday hunt, but they did not extend the archery season.
Okay.
So you just want to make sure which county you're hunting in and if it's still open.
So Jake, just kind of on I guess on a personal level here too, with the warmer winter and that, and not a lot of frozen lakes. What's it been like for you? Because I mean, I got to imagine in a normal year, you're on the ice and you're checking ice fishermen and all that. What's it been like for you with this warmer weather? Has it been more open water fishing that you've been checking out, or what's it been like these last few weeks?
It's been a little bit different, like you're saying. You're not targeting those ice fishermen that we typically would this time of year because that's like the high use, at this time of year. So you're kind of just spreading out the love a little bit. There are a few ice fishermen daring, here and there. So I know some of my team is checking different guys. There's some ATVs still riding around. Most of the trails are closed, but people are still riding on the routes and stuff, especially if you got a, insulated UTV. But then a lot of time what we do after the winter is do some deer follow-up in kind of the springtime with other complaints that came in or information we gathered throughout the winter. But to be honest, there's a lot of guys that are kind of just jumping ahead and taking care of that late deer season follow-up now because there's not a lot of ice fishermen or not a lot of snowmobilers out.
Right. So when you say the late deer season follow-up, is that just like the herd size or what's kind of that all about?
So we can't get to like all of the complaints we get and all of the information and all of the follow-ups we want to during the gun deer season. It's just too busy. Everybody's out and about. So if we want to talk with someone about, maybe something they did illegally or something we had already documented or just trying to track something down to make sure everything was legal and good to go. Sometimes we wait a few months to finish up those because they're not really time sensitive anymore. And then we hit the time sensitive stuff like ice fishing and OWIs on snowmobiles and stuff like that. But because it's so warm and there's not a lot of people out, there's some guys that are doing those follow-ups earlier in the winter.
Mm-hmm. I got to imagine as soon as it does get a lot colder and those waters start to freeze up, it's almost going to be a rush to those lakes, I have to imagine.
I would think that there's going to be plenty of people dumping out on those first weekends when the ice is thick enough, and everyone's kind of looking around, and you see those people out there in the middle of the lake, and then all of a sudden it's like floodgates.
Yeah.
At least that's what I would think.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm excited to get out. Don't get me wrong. Like,
right.
I got a little boy now who's into ice or tip up fishing or wants to, so I'm excited to get him out and put some tip ups up and just drag some fish through the holes for him.
Now, assuming that the season, or I shouldn't say the season, but assuming that, in these next couple weeks or few weeks, it'll get a little bit more frozen. Is there any restrictions or any, guidelines that people should know before heading out there?
We're through most of the season closures for like muskie and different game fish like that, because those are usually December-ish. This is usually the time of the year where, you're pounding the panfish or throwing up tip-ups. So there's usually nothing too much. There is, if you're a trout fisherman, we have an early catch and release trout fishing season that usually starts around the beginning of January. So we might see that coming up, or you have that opportunity. So you're going to want to look in the trout rigs to see what's open. It's just the streams and rivers, like a lot of the lakes, like trout lakes and different things, are still closed. I'm not going to lie, the trout race can be a little confusing sometimes, or there can be a lot of them. Maybe confusing isn't the right word, but there can be a lot of them on what you can do, what you can't do, what's open, what's not open. So in those ones, you definitely want to read the rigs before you just go to your random trout fishing hole and start fishing. Just make sure that specific water body's open this time of year.
Mm-hmm.
But I do know it's going to be catch and release on those areas.
Gotcha. He's Jake Boakes, conservation warden for our area for the state of Wisconsin. Appreciate the time as always, and thanks for asking or answering everybody's questions out there, buddy. And if you do get out on the ice anytime soon, if it does freeze up here quick, be safe out there, okay, bud?
Thanks. Yeah, nope, I definitely will, especially with my kiddo. But yeah, I'm excited. I know everyone else is excited, waiting just to get out there and change it up a little bit from the deer season and stuff. So appreciate you having me on. It's always a good time.
Absolutely, buddy. We'll chat with you again soon, okay?
Sounds good. See ya.
You got it. There you go. Jake Boakes, conservation warden again for our Thursday outdoor tidbits. If you ever have a question for Jake, text those puppies on over, even if it's on a Saturday, a Monday, a Wednesday. Just text it to us, and then we'll save it and ask it to Jake for our next upcoming Thursday outdoor tidbits. All right, let's do some picks. All right, we got another Bucks game coming up tonight. So we'll take a look at that one going up against the Spurs and some other games in action as well. It's our picks and predicts brought to you by the Elbow Room coming up after these few words. A lot of you are probably thinking about ice fishing right now, especially after we just talked to Mr. Bolks there, and maybe not necessarily thinking about hunting. I get it. It's that time of year. But before you know it, spring turkey hunting will be here. Then it's fall, and then it's duck season. Then we got deer season. Time flies when you're having fun, you know what I mean? So that means right now is the time of year where if you're thinking about getting that new shotgun for turkey or duck hunting or a new deer rifle, you should be thinking about purchasing that firearm now. But you want to make sure you get the one you're looking for. So who do you turn to for help? That's easy. It's Tilden Gun. Tilden Gun not only has the biggest selection in the Chippewa Valley, but also at the best prices. And their website, tildengun.com, so easy to browse and order from. But if you want some help in finding that right hunting firearm for you, or you want to check out their used collection, just stop on over to Tilden Gun and see, and Sean and Hunter will help you find just what you're looking for. So we may be in a little bit of an off season here with the hunting season, but that's the time to get ready for next season. Get a leg up this year with the help from Tilden Gun. It is time for our picks and predicts, brought to you by the Elbow Room. The Elbow Room, if you're looking for somewhere to catch some of the games this weekend, or maybe for the postseason and such, Elbow Room right next to the Banbury Place. They've got Man Cave Light over there too. Garrett over there's got his memorabilia hanging up on the walls. It's a really cool place to check out over there. Not a lot of games to pick from for tonight. We only got a couple of NBA games on the docket. Milwaukee versus the Spurs. It's in San Antonio. Spurs are just 5-28 so far on the season. The spread right now is the Bucks 9.5. I'll go Bucks. I'll go Bucks. For some reason, I feel like they're not going to cover. I don't know why. No, don't overthink it. I think the Bucks will win, and I think they cover. I think they win by double digits tonight. They bounce back from these last couple games against the Pacers there. So the other game on the docket is Denver and Golden State. The Nuggets 24-11. Going up against Golden State, 16-17 on the season. Denver is favored by only 3.5. I'm going to go with Denver. Interesting how the matchup predictor on ESPN Analytics favors the Warriors in this one. But I'll go Denver, and I think they cover in tonight's game. College basketball. Let me bring up some of the games on the docket here. But again, not a lot of big time matchups on the men's side here. On the women's side, we're going to do something over there too because there's some better matchups over there. But on the men's side here, I mean, we got Green Bay versus Detroit, Michigan on tap tonight. That's actually going to be an ESPN Plus if you want to watch that one. Might as well pick that one because there's really not a whole lot going on the men's side here. So Green Bay is favored by 2.5 against Detroit, who is 0-15 on the season. Yeah, give me the Phoenix 8-7, 3-1 in conference play. I'll go with the Phoenix. I think they cover on there. Otherwise, you've got Colorado, who's 11-2, taking on number 10 Arizona, who dropped down to number 10 in the rankings after their loss to Stanford. I think Arizona wins. And then you got Memphis, 11-2 in action tonight as well. Going up against Tulsa, I'll take Memphis to win that game. On the women's side here, we got Syracuse, number 25 in the country, going up against North Carolina. I'll go. Ooh. Syracuse is favored. Are they favored? What's that? Do they have a line? They don't have a line on that one. I'll go Syracuse. I'll go Syracuse on that one. Then we got Indiana going up against Michigan. Indiana 14th country, 11-1. Michigan 11-3. I'll go with the Hoosiers. Florida State, number 22 in the country, going up against North Carolina. Number 3, I will go NCSU in that one. We got Duke versus Louisville. I'll go Louisville. And then we do have Wisconsin in action tonight, too, going up against Nebraska. Wisconsin 7-5 on the season. Nebraska 10-3. Wisconsin's 0-2 in conference play so far. Nebraska is 2-0. Why not? I am going to go with Wisconsin tonight. I'll go with Wisconsin tonight. Let's do it. Let's see what we got here. All right. Call me Homer. That's fine. Let's pick up the W at home tonight. All right, Badgers. So I'll go Wisconsin there. Those are my picks and predicts for the games tonight. All right, later on today, Packers will be back at practice. Probably a little bit more of a typical normal practice. Yesterday was kind of a walkthrough, but we might have a better idea of some of the about who's going to be available for Sunday's game. Although it sounds like Christian Watson is planning on playing. Devondre may be playing, which will be a big boost for the depth at the inside linebacker spot with Isaiah McDuffie potentially missing the game. But we should know more a little bit about who's going to potentially be available for Sunday's game after today's practice. So we got that coming up. For tomorrow, it is a football Friday, so I gave you a little bit of a homework assignment, right? Gave you some homework assignment to think about and join in the combo tomorrow with our football Friday. We've got some key matchups, keys to victory. If you were Matt LaFleur and you're coming up with the offensive game plan, going up against the Chicago defense that has done a really good job at stopping the run lately, they've created a lot of turnovers. How are you coming up with that game plan? And then you're Joe Barry. How are you coming up with your game plan to maybe limit Justin Fields? It's got to be a little bit different than you normally would, right? With a pocket passer, because you got to factor in Justin Fields' ability to utilize his legs and scramble. So your homework assignment, think about this for tomorrow, coming up with those game plans. How would you go about it? Okay? How would you go about it? I'm kind of interested to see how you would attack this Chicago defense too. And kind of look at what Chicago, maybe go back the last few weeks, because that's kind of where a lot of the talking points is, right? The last few weeks, this defense has played really well. They've created a lot of turnovers. Quarterback rating, they're number one. So when you look at that, what do you think is the weakness to attack this Chicago defense? All right, I'll do the same thing for tomorrow. But we got that football Friday, so we'll make our picks for that game and do the key matchups and keys to victory. We'll catch up with Brandon Berg tomorrow, Chippewa Herald over there, catch up on some of the local stuff, recap, preview, and that. So we'll chat with him. We'll have Dr. Crow on as well. We'll talk a little bit with him for our Inside the Training Room, brought to you by Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine. Plus, we'll have the cream of the crop and the Carpet City Flooring Center local spotlight tomorrow. We'll recap the Bucs game, hopefully ending this little 2-game skid that they got going on here, going up against the San Antonio Spurs tonight. Maybe our first look at Giannis going up against Victor Wembanyama. I know I was reading a little bit between breaks there. Apparently, there may be a little bit of frustration from Victor about minutes restriction on him, because still dealing with some ankle issues and such. He wants to play more minutes. Last 10 games, he's been averaging about 26.1 minutes per game. Last game on Tuesday for the Spurs, he played 26, and it was 24, 24, 24. So we'll see if he gets maybe an increase in minutes after apparently voicing some of his frustration out there. Wants to increase those minutes, but hopefully the Bucs can pick up the W tonight, pick up their 25th win on the season. So we'll talk some hoops tomorrow, and hopefully talking about a win as well. And don't forget, as we made our picks, but if you haven't made your picks yet for the Pro Football Pickup Challenge, if you're a part of that, this is the last regular season week, and it's tight up there. Got Garrett, got Tim tied up there, first place. May come down to the tiebreaker points that the program uses over there. But get your picks in, because we do have a couple games on Saturday. Okay, Pittsburgh, Baltimore, Houston, and Colts. And to make things a little bit more interesting here too, you got quarterbacks and players who won't be playing in some of these games. Lamar's not playing in that Baltimore game, so I'm gonna ride with Pittsburgh. You're gonna ride with Baltimore. Cleveland going up against the Bengals. Joe Flacco ain't playing in that game. You've got Matthew Stafford and the Rams. Rams are sitting a bunch of players against the 49ers. But 49ers are also resting some guys. So picks might be a little bit more difficult. Kansas City, Patrick Mahomes ain't playing either. They're going up against the Chargers. So it's tight at the top. Anybody willing to maybe pick some upsets and see how this one all plays out? Maybe, possibly. But don't forget to get your picks in. All right, you know the drill. Go to our website, sportstalk1051.com, and get your picks in. Could be interesting to see how it all plays out after these games this weekend. And a reminder, too, obviously, if you're a Packers fan, you're hoping for a win and in. That's the easy scenario. It's the easy scenario to get in. If Green Bay does lose, there is another way they can get in, but they would need a lot of help. But that Rams one is maybe one to kind of pay attention to, because you need Rams, not really the Rams, because the Rams got a spot clinched in there right now. But you would look at, Seattle, Minnesota. Minnesota's going to be starting Nick Mullins over there. So Minnesota's going up against the Lions. You need Minnesota to lose. You've got, excuse me, I'm starting to lose my voice, I think, this morning already. Seattle's going up against Arizona. You need Seattle to lose over there too. So it might be a little interesting. The Rams one's interesting in the fact that Green Bay could still get the 6th seed. That's where the Rams come and play. That's what I was thinking about. So Rams are sitting some guys. The Rams lose and the Packers win. Packers could actually go up to the 6th seed instead of the 7th seed. And that could be the difference maybe from playing Dallas in the first round or the Lions in the first round. Or Philly if Dallas happens to lose. Something to kind of keep an eye on. DP and the Danettes are up next. We'll be back tomorrow. Have a good rest of your day.